Hello again, everybody. This is Mr. Everything. I'm coming back at you with another Wargaming and miniature video. In this video, we are continuing on with our Painting 101. We have pretty much finished the black lining and the fixing in the last video. And now what we're going to do is we're going to pop these and place them on bases. And we'll also show you the technique that I use for texturing my models. So let's go ahead and get that started. Now, first of all, you're going to need bases. And if it's a fantasy model, it'll probably come with a base, or you can add it to a base to keep it more stable on your D&D table or on your Warhammer table or whatever fantasy game you're playing. Or you might have be playing a game like Black Powder that you mount multiple figures per base, and then you move them around in clumps of 4. So what I did was I took my Black Powder, my Warlord Games 40 by 40 millimeter bases. It doesn't look like I did, but you can see that I've actually primed these with a gray primer. Mainly so that my paint, when I go to paint the base, it'll stick. Because I've found that the plastic like this, paint doesn't like to stick. It prefers to stick to a primer. So I need 6 bases for this number of figures. And so here we go. Let's start popping them off. Basically, I just take it, and you see it's got a leg left and right. I grab the model. You probably can't see this. There we go. I grab the model and I pull it off to the side, not backwards or forwards. I tend to go horizontally with it so that it'll give the model strength when I pop it off. See? Simple enough. Boom. We'll put him off to the side. We'll go with the next one. You get the idea. The leader. There we go. And then the other officer. Okay, that's how easy they pop right off, right? Now I'm going to pop some of these plastics off just to kind of so you can see that it's a little bit different. Those were metals. These have to be popped left and right again, and I'm grabbing the model close to the base so the legs don't break or the feet don't come off the base. I grab low and I pop it right off. Alright, so let me go ahead and get all these figures dismounted, and then we'll be back to mount them onto these bases. Okay, I've got them popped off of the popsicle sticks. We can just get these popsicle sticks out of the way. When you're looking at your models, you're going to see here. Let me get an excessive one that I can. Here we go. Okay, the base. You can see it still has a lot of the polyurethane that hasn't dried, or it's excessive like this. What I do is I just take my hand, peel what I can off. If it doesn't seem to peel off very easily, like this is not peeling off very easily, sticking to my hand is what it's doing, then I'll take the X-Acto knife and I will clean it off. It's better to take that excess off so that when you're gluing it down onto your base, you won't have anything in the way. So basically just, you don't want your figures, 10 years from now falling off their bases, because the polyurethane prevented the glue from holding onto the base. See, like that one's still wet underneath. I'm going to dry it off. Let me get all this peeled off and I'll be right back. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're getting ready to mount them on their bases, and there's something you have to consider when you're mounting these on these bases. One thing you want to consider is, are these units going to be engaging other units in hand-to-hand? If so, like if they had their bayonets lowered, then would those bayonets collide with other figures on another base, so they wouldn't be able to get to base because their bayonets would be sticking out. So if that is the case, what I tend to do is take my figures that are on, if I have models that have their bayonets lowered, or pikes or spears or swords or whatever, if it's lowered, I tend to take those models and offset them just a little bit, just a little bit, so that when, like if I had two models here and two models there, when they went at each other, they wouldn't collide with their weapons. All right, so, but because these guys, the models that I happen to be painting are in march order, they have them basically sling arms, so they are not going to interfere with anything. So what do I do now? I go with 4 drops of PVA or Elmer's glue on each base, right where the figures are going to stand. And I put all the drops of glue down just to speed the process up. I know where they're all going to stand. They're all basically going to stand equidistant apart from each other. And because they're pretty much all the same pose, this is going to be an easy basing. If it was horses, I'd be doing it maybe just a little bit different. Or if it was a monster, I would do it a little bit different. But right now, because it is simple French line in march, just put the 4 drops. If it was, whoa, I missed something here. If it was like a monster, I'd probably put a big drop in the center. And if it was like a model that didn't have its own base, it just had feet, then I would probably put the glue directly on the feet, and when I put it on there, then it would stand. All right, so these are all the blue pom-poms. They're all part of the light blue company. I'm not sure which company the light blue is, but we're gonna, now when you see that I press down into the glue and you see the glue squirts out on the outside, well, that's the part of the glue that squirts out is actually the glue that holds the figure down. Okay, I put that side by side with the orange ones. Because it's going to help me, whoa, I hated that. That's going to help me, let me clean off that Elmer's from the little mistake I just made. What that's going to do is, with these all base to base, it's going to help me visualize that I'm actually spacing them properly. I'm pressing down until the plastic meets plastic. Right? Does that look like I've spaced it properly? It doesn't, does it? It looks like this guy is too far over. So I'm going to slide this guy just a little bit over. And I might slide this guy just a little bit over this way. Nope, he needs to go more. There we go. That looks a lot better. And then here's the orange in the back. And then you notice how he's looking. He's not paying attention. Okay. And then the third line company, center company that we have is the purples. Now I'm watching their feet, basically, not their heads. I want to see which way they're marching. That looks really good right there. All right, so let's go back with the light blue. More light blue. And then working on the purples. You got to shift them and adjust them because you want them to look uniform. You don't want them to be all haphazard. This is not a war band. If it was a war band, then you could pretty much, or if they were orcs or something like that, you could pretty much mount them how you want. But because these are French line, well disciplined, maybe, you know, Napoleonic guys that march in a line. All right, let's get these light grenadiers. Let's get the grenadiers over here. Looking at their poses, I see two guys have their hand swinging. So I'm going to mount these guys on opposite corners just so they don't look like they're, and so they don't interfere with each other. And then this guy's got a swinging arm. I'll put him in the back as well. It's really personal preference. You can put it however you want. And then yeah, that's looking good. And then I'm going to put the voltigeurs over here on this end. 3 of these guys have swinging arms because there was a total of 5 swinging arms. So we'll put 1 in the back. And they look far enough apart that that arm's not going to interfere with another model. That's pretty good, actually. I'm digging that. And the swinging arm will go onto the outside of the base, that is. And then standard marching do-to-majigger. Okay, now we're going to make an opening in the middle for the command stand. Now this is going to have a big flag sticking out of the back of it, right? I always like putting the standard bearer in the front rank and the drummer in the back. So if you were to look at this model, it might look, or this base, it might look a little like this. Like this guy's pointing and screaming and all that stuff. And this guy would be whoa. Okay, these bases don't want to stand still. And the drummer could go in the back. And this guy could go here. That's how I like to do it, because that way the flag, when it goes back, it will not be sticking out of the back of the base. But because the flags are a good 2 inches, you know, or something like that. So here, let's see. See, because like there's the flag and it's going to stick back this far, which just happens to be about 1.25 inches. Okay, that's not bad. 1.25 inches sticking out the back. So being here, it's not going to stick all the way out the back of the base. But if I had the flag bearer or the standard bearer in the back, the flag's going to stick out beyond the base. And is that a bad thing? Not necessarily. But on the box set, it does show the standard bearer behind the guy, behind this guy, right? And then the guy leading, so the 2 officers are in the front and the drummer and the standard are in the back. I don't know. we're going to do it that way. We're going to do it that way. I'm going to put this guy in a position where his standard is going to be further forward. So he won't be exactly on line with everyone else. And I got him turned slightly so the standard kind of points forward a little bit. I'm going to put this guy right where he belongs. There we go. There we go. And then I'm going to put this other commander on with him being animated. I'm going to have to slide him back just a little bit because his arm's sticking out forward. See this arm sticking out? I don't want it to prevent me to go base to base with some other unit. And then I'm going to put the drummer in the back. Okay, that looks pretty darn good. Okay, so that's the unit, right? Now, the bases are not finished. This is not dried. When they dry, we'll go ahead and put the texturing on the base, and we'll be back when we get that done. See you then.